Hey guys, today we're going to talk about all these subgenres that fall under the main found footage genre. Coming up. What's going on, guys? My name is Mark. Welcome to the channel. If you are all fans of the found footage genre, I would ask you to please consider hitting the subscribe button as well as hitting the bell notification. That way you don't miss any content in the future. So to start with, what got me thinking about doing this video in the first place, myself, like many of you, am a member of several found footage groups on Facebook. Now, a common thing that I've been seeing happen lately, the past couple of months, is newer members that join the group, new people that are just discovering found footage for the first time, the genre, and taking a liking to it. They want to learn more and all the rest of it. They are posting unrelated topics in the group. Personally, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. I mean, as long as the group's not just speaking about 90% other movies and only 10% found footage, but somebody wants to squeak in on these groups and speak about a couple of minutes of something else or a few lines of something else, that's fine. What's happening to them, though, what the trend seems to be, is their posts are being erased, these people are being kicked out of groups, yada, yada, yada. So to make a long story short, it bothers me a little bit. And what bothers me is I see a lot of these people. I'll check back on the dates of these people, some of the members, how long they've been in these groups. Some of them have been in these groups for several years. They're found footage veterans, and this is kind of how the semi-newcomers are being treated. We're already a small community as it is. Let's try not to make it even smaller. It's my theory, my logic. So I thought it would just simplify things, especially for the people that are new to the genre, just to give a quick rundown of what is in the entire found footage umbrella of subgenres. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I'm going to try not to drag out this video longer than need be. Obviously, the main found footage genre itself is based off footage that was discovered of a tragic event that happened in which there was no survivors. So technically, the footage was found. Good examples for this genre would be movies, say, for instance, like Alien Abduction. I think that's 2014, if I'm right. Cloverfield would be another one. And of course, the one we all got to fall back on, which actually gave the genre its name, I'll explain that in a minute, is the Blair Witch Project. Now I know, some of you are going to be saying, oh, there's movies that came out before Blair Witch that was like it, The Last Broadcast, Cannibal Holocaust, whatnot. Before Blair Witch came out, there was no such thing as the found footage genre. It was just known as shaky cam, home videos, spoofs, whatnot. After the Blair Witch Project came out, the genre was born with the name found footage. I know it's not the very first movie of its kind, but it's what established a foundation for this whole genre that we all know and love today. These same, I guess, members of these groups and whatnot, they'll come out and say, oh, well, if everybody didn't die and the footage was not lost and found, it's not a found footage movie. Yet, scroll down the page a bit and I'll see these people giving heads up to Antrim. We'll go more on about that movie in a little bit. As Above, So Below. One of my favorite found footage movies is what they'll state. I agree, great movie. I consider it found footage. However, no footage was found. So, on a literal sense, wouldn't that be a non-found footage movie then? So, this is where it can get confusing for the new people that join these groups, new people that are joining, forums and whatnot. They want to make sure they're talking about the right discussions. So a movie like As Above, So Below would be considered more or less captured footage. That would be the name of the next genre. It's the same as classic found footage. The only difference being is the footage was never lost, found, discovered. It can range through a wide variety, a much wider variety than found footage can, of different type of subgenres within this subgenre, ranging anywhere from drama, comedy, home movies. What I mean to say was family movies, not home movies. Examples for this subgenre would be, as I just stated, As Above, So Below is the perfect one. Project X would be another one. And Earth to Echo would be, say, for instance, like your family movie. The next subgenre would be POV, point of view. This feels just like found footage. However, instead of being seen through the lens of a camera, like this, it's being seen through the eyes of either the protagonist or the antagonist. Sometimes, well, maybe in one or two movies, through video glasses. I'm referring to Jerusalem. We'll talk about that in a sec as well, because I know some of you are saying, hey, well, that's footage that was found. And a flashlight. My examples of this would be Grace the Possession, Maniac, Jerusalem, and Nightlight. That being the one with the flashlight that I'm talking about. You're actually not seeing anything through a camera in that movie. It's all supposed to be through the lens or a flashlight. All the flashlights are supposed to be your view in that movie. It's a little bit strange, but it was kind of cool. Now, in terms of Jerusalem, from my point of view, it's a point of view movie. Reason being is, spoiler alert, if nobody's seen the movie yet, turn it off, go watch it, then maybe come back and watch this. But at the end, we all know she's wearing Google, well, they just call it glass. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be the Google glasses. I'm sure that that is what they were referring to. When she is transformed into one of the creatures at the end, she's just hovering up in the air with the glasses still on. So I believe we're just supposed to be seeing the movie from her point of view and not from any found footage. The next genre to talk about is mockumentaries. This one gets a little bit trickier. Reason being, mockumentaries, in a literal sense, range anywhere from comedy to dramas. We've been incorrectly categorizing most of our movies in the found footage genre under the title mockumentary for several years. However, I still do it. I still refer to them as like the main 4 or 5 subcategories, which is just found footage, mockumentary, POV, screen life, and sometimes broadcast footage. Good examples for the mockumentary subgenre would be Borat, Borat 2 maybe also, I haven't seen that one yet. CB4, believe it or not, yes, CB4 technically would be a mockumentary. I'm Still Here, that one with Joaquin Phoenix. And What We Do in the Shadows. Such a good movie. Bringing us next to pseudo-documentaries. Pseudo. You know what? I don't think I've ever said the word out loud before. Now this ranges from drama to horror. It's like the dark side of mockumentaries. Good examples for this would be Russian Yeti, The Killer Lives. If any of you have not seen that yet, look it up. It might be on YouTube. Excellent. It's all about the Dyatlov Pass. Either way, check it out. Savage Land, another amazing movie. We all call it found footage, but we all know that it's not a mockumentary either. It's definitely a pseudo-documentary and done really well. Cannibal in the Jungle, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. That would be your perfect middle ground movie between mockumentaries and pseudo-documentaries. It's right there in the middle. It's got that, perfect blend of comedy and horror, and which brings us to our next category. That would be, the way we should have been referring to it all this time, horror mockumentaries. It's a hybrid subgenre consisting of classic found footage and pseudo-documentaries. Examples here would be, say for instance, Lake Mungo, The Tunnel, Noroi the Curse, The Bay, and Leslie Vernon, Behind the Mask. Again, it could fit in this subgenre as well. The next subgenre being my, by far, least favorite of them all. I personally really kind of can't stand it, although I do still collect them for my overall found footage film collection, which is rather large. That'll be another video one day. This subgenre has been a slang term for many years now. Some people may have not heard it, but I've known it since about 2012 now as torture porn. It ranges through quite a few movies. The bottom line is they're just usually pretty uncomfortable to watch. I mean, I could see some comments though in the Facebook groups where people are like, yeah, that movie was awesome. I guess everybody kind of perceives things in a different way. For me, some of these movies really just give me an uncomfortable feeling because they hit too close to home. A lot of them are very unnecessary. Unnecessary violence, gore. I mean, I like gore in my classic horror movies, but in realistic found footage movies, it's a little bit different. And an important note for this one, again, why it's not found footage, is it's usually filmed by the antagonist, by the crazy guy, the psycho, the snuff filmmakers. So examples for this would be the entire August Underground series, all 3 of them, all the guinea pig movies. I've only seen the first one, that was enough. And anything that's pretty much all related to fabricated snuff movies. One that can kind of fall in here, and I'll give props up to him, that's Adrien Tauffé. His movie, Be My Cat, A Film for Anne. It can kind of fall in this subgenre. But he also did it a lot more artistically. He doesn't have all this open, wide gore and everything on camera, but he makes you feel uncomfortable, and it's creepy. The next subgenre I like to bring up is broadcast. Broadcast spoofs is how I mostly refer to them. It can range from news reports to TV shows, live television broadcasts. That's usually how they're presented, as if it's something live on your TV or whatnot. Examples here would be Series 7, The Contenders. That is one that I do not usually see spoken about in forums and on the Facebook groups and stuff too often. I'm not sure if many people just don't know about it or it's just forgotten about, but it's a pretty cool movie. Without Warning, Ghost Watch, Special Bulletin would be another one. And even, I guess, kind of hybridish, again, with found footage, well, found footage style and the broadcast style would be Rekill. The next one I would refer to, it's a kind of a small subgenre, there's not too many of them out there, would be more or less what I call fixed footage. That would be more or less mounted cameras. Not somebody running around with a camera and it's all shaky and everything. It's more or less like CCTV cameras, home security cameras. More or less a camera that was intentionally mounted with either the intent to capture an event or that just happened to capture an event. And again, as I said, this is usually mixed in with other subgenres. Some examples here would be alien surveillance. You guys are having trouble finding that movie, let it stay. Lost. It really wasn't too good. It's made by Mark Pagula, if I'm saying his name correctly. I do like one of his movies from the past. It was known as Monster Movie 2008. It's so bad that it's great. This was just Closed Circuit Extreme, Unknown Visitor, the one with the doorbell cam. Even partially, where I guess you could say hybrid, would be the Paranormal Activity movies, a few of them. You have some mounted cams in the house, and you do have some movement around with other cams. The next subgenre is actually a pretty popular one that's grown in the past few years. That would be the screen life subgenre. This is where most footage is captured either through social media apps, cell phones, seen like, you know, on a chat, on a computer screen, whatnot. Good examples for this would be Live Screen, cool movie. The Den Host that came out this year. That's one good thing that COVID gave us. Face to Face would be another one. Not a horror, but pretty cool movie still. Next would be what's referred to as inner city life. This is kind of a gray line subgenre in the found footage community. Reason being is most of the footage that's captured is real. However, it's provoked. I'll explain that in a second. There is also scripted inner city life movies as well. One that comes to mind right off the top of my head now would be End of Watch. Yeah, that'd be a perfect example of an inner city life movie that's scripted. What I call provoked, good examples for that would be Snow on the Bluff, really good movie. Gang Tapes, Kids, I think was another one. That's an old one. I might be wrong, but Kids, I'm pretty sure I'm right about that one. And for scripted, I would throw in The Connection also. Again, that's not really a found footage movie, but it could kind of fit in this genre because it's kind of showing real life situations, but it's scripted. What I mean by provoked is, let's just say, the intent to commit a crime, but you're kind of waiting for the cameras to turn on before you do it. So, again, movies like Snow on the Bluff, this guy's real. However, he kind of saved, you know, some deals and drug dealers and whatever. I can't remember the movie too well. It's been years since I've seen it, but half of the drama that you see going on in that movie, it's almost like he waited till the cameras were on him first before he jumped ahead and started doing it. That's what I mean by provoked. The next subgenre can get a little touchy. This really seems to set a few people off in either some found footage forums and groups and whatnot. And what I'm referring to is found footage hybrids. Contains elements of. Sorry guys, but a lot of them belong in the found footage family. There's a lot that don't, but there is a lot that do. It's a mixture of traditional cinema with any of the above mentioned subgenres blended in with it. Sometimes it's a 50-50 movie, sometimes it's only 10% of the movie would be found footage. The important thing is though, to be part of the found footage family, whatever is caught on camera must be something eventful. It can't just be like you're out with your girlfriend having ice cream, you put the camera away and the rest of the movie's traditional and we're throwing it in a found footage collection. It's not how it works. It's got to be something was caught on camera, where the camera actually played its part in the movie. Hybrids can also be referred to as a mix of any of the subgenres. So as I said, broadcast footage mixed with captured footage, screen life mixed with found footage. They exist, they're out there. A couple of these subgenre examples would be Megan is Missing. It's a little mix of like the social media, screen life, found footage thing. Searching, that would be another excellent example. Most of it's done on screen, but I mean, If I'm right, I have to watch that movie again. If I'm right, there is a little bit of moving around, or there's some some news footage, I believe from helicopters and stuff at one point. So they do mix and match, and it blends together really well. So hybrid examples of movies that are hybrids that do belong and have earned their role to stay in the found footage family. One that just came out there, the one with Mary J. Blige, Body Cam. Can't remember exactly how much cam footage was in that. There was some drama that did take place on camera, and it definitely earned its right to be within the found footage family. The Remaining. I don't know if many of you guys have seen this movie. There's maybe 15 minutes of camera footage in the entire movie, but man, that 15 minutes, the way it's broken up, it's really well done. District 9. W-E-R, the werewolf movie. I'd say again, there's only maybe 15 minutes worth of footage in that movie. It's mostly CCTV footage and whatnot, and news footage. But some stuff takes place on that footage, and there's one scene with the guys that all go in and the SWAT gear and whatnot. You're seeing footage, I think, from their guns, their cams on their guns, and it's pretty badass. The Inside, 80% of that movie is all done found footage style. The last, I don't know, say 15 minutes of the movie at most, 10, 15 minutes is done traditional. And The Haunting on Sorority Row. Yeah, that's a hybrid. Not many people are aware of that. A lot of people just think it's straight up found footage. Reason being, the found footage shots and the traditional shots are shot the same. It's all done shaky cam. So you can see if there's 3 guys in a room and one's got a camera and he's filming the other 2, you see it. Then all of a sudden you'll see this other shot where there's just 3 guys in the room. There's nobody else. You see all 3 of them on camera, and it's still all shaky cam. So it gets confusing with that movie, but that's a hybrid. Now, the next couple, I would literally just consider them honorable mentions. Just a few things to clear up the air here. Cinema verite. Don't get me wrong. In my mind, cinema verite is a completely different genre. It doesn't really belong in found footage. The only reason I bring it up is for one movie in particular, and that would be The Connection from 1961. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that's not cinema verite either, but it's also not found footage. There's so many times I see it, well, the first found footage movie was from 1961, The Connection. No, it's not found footage. Nobody died, it wasn't found. You know, I'm just, again, getting literal here with the people that seem to like getting literal. The Connection is kind of hybridish. I seen a reviewer when I was actually studying this movie, and I watched it actually for the first time about 2 weeks ago. And it's not a bad movie, actually. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So I started reading reviews from some of these professional reviewers that get all fancy and whatnot with their words, but one guy kind of nailed it. And he said, it's experimental cinema mixed with cinema verite. So in a sense, the way I always viewed it, well, after reading about it and watching it, I looked at it and I said, this is scripted cinema verite. Cinema verite is not scripted stuff, but this was like scripted cinema verite. Again, I know I also said I could follow an inner city life. That's probably where most of us would choose to keep the movie and that subgenre. But this guy nailed it by stating experimental cinema, because it was the first of its kind, mixed with cinema verite. So that was just to clear the confusion when it comes to where The Connection belongs. It belongs in the whole umbrella of found footage, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like, yeah, over there, its own thing. Doesn't have anything else beside it. The next wouldn't even be really considered a subgenre, but we all have them. I call them adopted films. These are films that are not found footage, but they sure as hell feel like they are. My personal adopted film that's in my collection, I have a couple of them, not many, but I have one in particular that way back in the day, I think it was 2012 when I got it, or 2013. What I'm referring to is the original Silent House, not the one with with Elizabeth Olsen. The Spanish one, La Casa Muda. This movie is definitely not found footage, as I said, but you are with her. It's all shot in one single shot. At least it's presented that way. You're with her over her shoulder, pretty much while the entire movie. It's not like the camera moves all around and whatnot. You're just kind of with her, as if she's mounted with a camera. And you feel like you're there with her. So it's very immersive, just like found footage movies. So that's my adopted film. Other ones that I see floating around would be All Hallows Eve, the Chernobyl Diaries. That belongs somewhere else too, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. And Antrim. Guys, again, Antrim. This movie's not found footage. Because you make 12 minutes of documentary-style footage and chop it and say, I'm going to put 8 minutes of it here. I'm going to take the last 4 minutes and put it way over here. Now, here's a traditional movie in the middle. Let's just say it was lost and found. It's not a found footage movie. It's a hybrid. Don't get me wrong. It's in my collection. It belongs in the found footage world. But what irks me, again, I know I keep going back to different found footage Facebook groups and whatnot that I'm in. I'll see experienced found footage veterans that'll say, well, that movie's not found footage. But then they talk about Antrim and say it was like a work of art, when they should know that that's not found footage. You sit here and you claim, hybrids. Half of the hybrids out there are not found footage, but then this one is, just because the movie in the middle that we're watching is found? Wouldn't that mean that Sinister should be in the found footage genre because he found some tapes and we get to watch them? Wouldn't that be a found footage hybrid then? I'll stop about Antrim. I know I'm ranting a little bit about it, but it's kind of irked me a little bit because the movie is cool. It's a good movie, but it's not found footage. It belongs in the family, but it's a hybrid. And when it comes to Chernobyl Diaries, man, this movie's got little droplets of camera footage in it. That's it. Just little droplets. I don't think anything even happens. But it's kind of like the whole Haunting of Fraternity Row thing. Although Haunting of Fraternity Row is definitely worthy of being called a hybrid. Chernobyl Diaries just seems like it should be in found footage collections for some reason. So it's been adopted into several people's collections. And last thing I want to talk about, what I would call is imposters, frauds, and parasite movies. These are films that are not found footage, yet they keep popping up on several lists on the internet of the biggest list of found footage movies. Half of these, what I call frauds, imposters, and parasite movies, just fly right under the radar. People they should know, these don't belong in this genre, but we still talk about them and accept that they're on these lists. Some examples. The Ghosts of Crowley Hall. This movie is not found footage. Yet it appears in so many lists. This is what I call the OG imposter. It's a ghost investigation. Maybe one of the earlier ones, so people got the impression that it's found footage, but it definitely isn't. Again, where I said I was going to bring it up again, is Chernobyl Diaries. Dropping a little few sprinkles of camera footage in there does not make this movie found footage. I would even beg to differ that it should be considered a hybrid. It's similar to that other movie. There's another one out there, Downhill. It pops up in a lot of lists as well. And there's a few minutes of footage at the beginning of the movie, not much. When I first watched it, I was like, hey, this is going to have, I knew it was a hybrid. But I'm thinking this is going to have more footage than I expected to see in this movie. Because it starts off pretty good. Then a guy falls off his bicycle, gets hurt and goes home or something. And there's no more camera footage for the rest of the movie. Nothing happened. The most eventful thing that happened was he fell off his bike. So back to Chernobyl Diaries, this is what I consider the parasite. It falls in the parasite category because it ends up on every found footage list of hey, there's found footage here. This is the biggest list of found footage. No matter where you check on the internet, 6 or 7 out of every 10 lists you find have Chernobyl Diaries on there. Investigations. And what I'm referring to in particular is the whole Haunted series. You know those ones that have the big title, Haunted? And then it's I can't remember a single one of them now, but there's at least 10 or 12 of these things out there. They're investigations. They are not found footage movies. That means if they are considered found footage, well, so's Ghost Adventures. Then Ghost Adventures is more entertaining. Any and all hybrids that do have some camera footage in them, but nothing happens on this camera footage. Like some of the examples we just spoke about. a lot of these pop up on these lists as well. They're there just to buffer and make these lists look big. When I eventually show you guys my collection, my whole collection is digital now. I'm a little OCD like that. Once I realized I can't get everything physical in the found footage world, it drove me nuts. I'm kind of like, I like everything to be the same. So I have a pretty crazy Plex server with about 1,100 movies. Yeah, there's a couple hybrids in there. There's a couple of adopteds, even a few shorts. But there's at least 900 full feature-length movies that actually come out of movie studios. There's a lot more found footage out there than a lot of people are aware of. And the last one, when it comes to the whole thing of the imposters, frauds, and parasites, would be those films that have, on the cover or on the poster, it's like 3 people walking in a forest and you see them holding a camera. But that's how the whole movie is. The whole movie's in third person of this guy filming things. You never actually see anything through his lens. And you'll find those on these lists as well, again, to buffer the size of them. So that would be pretty much all it for my list, guys. If you found this insightful or helpful in any way whatsoever, I would ask you to please consider subscribing, hitting that bell notification, coming back for more, because there's going to be a lot more content coming to this channel from this point forward. If you did not find it helpful or insightful in any way, feel free to spam that dislike button as much as you want, because it can only hurt me once. And with that being said, guys, I do hope to see you guys return in the future. Keep an eye out. There will be another video up soon. I plan on doing a few top 10 lists, some reviews, some in-depth like reviews, also some endings explained, and a couple other interesting little twists when it comes to these top 10 lists. They're going to be a little bit different. With that being said, guys, I thank you very much for watching. See you soon.